So I'm Craig Scott, founder and CEO of Fuuz, and this is the Manufacturing Matrix. Today I am here with Steve Modrall. He's head of our sales department here at Fuuz, and we are going to get into the topic of the day around warehouse management. And in particular, I brought Steve on because we've had a lot of interest lately from prospective clients around warehouse management and just how the Fuuz platform can help enable them to make better use of their warehouse space, become more efficient, save costs, improve customer satisfaction, so on and so forth. So before we get started, Steve, maybe talk about some of the things that you are hearing through the grapevine from some of our prospects with regards to that.
Thanks, Craig. Yeah, absolutely. We've traditionally always done warehouse management in combination with our MES applications for our customers that are making products. And then, part of that is tracking the genealogy from incoming components, parts coming in, materials coming in, going through some processing of some sort to be a completed product and then shipped ultimately to their end customer. Fuuz has always brought that capability through use of handheld devices, scan guns, barcode labeling to track their inventory, track the pieces, the skids, the whole license plates if you got many boxes onto a skid. And more now than ever, people are looking at how do they reduce some of their costs, reduce some of their risk, and they're trying to gain efficiencies by combining their locations and making one mega warehouse and strategically placing those near their customers or high volume ship points, airports, depending on who they're shipping products to. And we see more and more companies now looking at it, not necessarily from the traceability, but more from the true inventory management. And, how do I track my product and how do I send it out to the customer, or I'm sending it to distributors? And we see a lot now, people are more interested in setting up rules around products and different brands they may have, or, different types of carriers and how they ship. So, are they doing full truckloads, or are they doing like UPS, FedEx because they're parcels? So we're getting all across the gamut, and it's kind of interesting to see just how, products move across this world and get to the end use and the customers, and how Fuuz can help support that. So
yeah, that's interesting, Steve. Those are good insights. When we initially started developing the Fuuz platform, the last thing we were thinking about was warehouse management.
Sure.
We really were thinking about this from like an operations management on the shop floor, with connecting with industrial equipment and machines, and controlling the manufacturing process as a good MES would. But warehouse management systems have also, come a long way, or they should come a long way and do more of warehouse execution.
Right.
Even, that's another step beyond just warehouse management that you think of, like things you mentioned. People are always asking us about, mobile, wearables, all the stuff to help enable the worker be more efficient and get better utilization out there, make it more efficient to pick, right, based on wave picking and zones and all these types of parameters. But now we're moving more towards a digital age where we're looking at things like RFID and ASRS and vertical storage units and pick to light, right? All these different technologies. And so companies are looking for a warehouse management system that can also be a warehouse execution system and help control these other, third-party devices and applications on the shop floor. So what types of things do you see in the market from some of the prospects that we're talking to around the warehouse execution? Like, what are some of the hot?
A lot of people are looking for some logic to be in how they are pulling parts or pulling boxes, even skids for that matter, off of racks. If you think about the layout of a typical warehouse and how they're set up, it's what kind of logic are they using to optimize the path, not only of those who are picking products, but those that are receiving. So ultimately, you can kind of think of that traffic jam of forklifts and tow motors and things like that are trying to replenish inventory levels. So some companies are even asking for, like, can I get a way that the tow motors are all going in one motion and not crossing each other's paths, because obviously we want to eliminate accidents and risks there. Right. But at the same token, they're not backtracking to try to, maybe pick an item to go ship, but then they got to put away an item that's done. And so there's all kinds of different things that they're looking for in terms of, number one, they want to be flexible and easy to work around their processes and their rules. And I think that's a big thing for us as Fuuz that makes us unique, is that we can set up those rules and that logic based on products, and then, what kind of events can trigger actions? So how do we automate it? How do we actually make it more efficient for those employees and those workers? And, I think of a lot of the simple things that we take for granted, like license plate of a skid that has 50 boxes on top. And when I'm moving that around, those 50 tags on each one of those boxes is going with that one scan of that license plate. And you forget a lot of the functionality that we've got and that we've built natively is some systems can't handle well. And it's surprising to me in the industry that, we are light years ahead of some of our competitors.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's interesting. You look at some of the behemoths that are out there that have been around forever, right, in the warehouse management space, and they're a whole monster of an implementation on their own. Oftentimes, provide, some tools, but not enough to get everybody where they need to be. So there's a lot of customization and extension that has to happen there with custom code and whatnot that we can alleviate with our data flow tool set, right? Our ability to take, that the data ops, the data from the shop floor or the warehouse floor, whatever you want to say, from all these various inputs like RFIDs and the things we've mentioned, and be able to build orchestrations around that, and really drive efficiency through the process. A lot of the small mid-market warehouse management solutions are bolt-ons to an ERP.
Sure.
So they're even more limited in that they can really only provide a front end to what the ERP system is capable of doing, which is not built for warehouse management.
No, not at all.
At all. So a lot of limitations for the small mid-market, which, Fuuz can also help customers overcome with workflows, data flow, our ability to integrate shop floor equipment in real time, our, mobile first, technology, because we use, React. So everything's responsive on whether it's an iPhone, Android, whatever type of tablet you want. So I think a lot of these, customers are looking for something different than, because I always looked at, warehouse management, I guess, when I originally got in this, I'm like, you get a box in one door, you put it on a shelf, and later you grab that box off the shelf.
Right.
I mean, how hard could this be?
Right.
But when you're managing a distribution center with, dozens of brands, tens of thousands of bin locations, it's a real challenge to optimize that, and help drive cost savings and efficiencies through, helping companies look at ways to optimize where products are placed in the warehouse. Having that data, collecting that data, being able to analyze that data and then act on the data is the whole data ops journey that we deal with all the time for our manufacturing customers in the MES world. So we're starting to see that trend move forward, in the warehouse management space too.
Yeah, I think our flexibility with bringing in a lot of the dimensional inventory requirements for storage and understanding where the next best logical place is to put an item is an example that I see a lot from our past experiences. And then just, having the ability for the customer to actually be able to make changes to some of the logic themselves. Wow, I was surprised that, some of these companies out there that I've seen are so rigid that they'll make a change and it's actually a source code change. It's telling the software how to behave. But our whole platform doesn't, we're beyond that. We allow the users to actually tailor that. So I was, most recently explaining to someone that if their logic changes or if they need to put in separate, different event-driven rules around that, they've got the flexibility to do that themselves. They don't have to actually come back to us. Well, we'd like them to if they'd like to, have us or a partner provide that service, and are more than willing to do that. But we give them the keys to the kingdom where they can actually create that type of logic themselves or make changes to it or adjust based on a customer's requirement in terms of how they want to receive materials and inventory.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a good point too. That we really try to enable the citizen developer,
Right.
And even the professional developer,
Right.
by just making what they need to do within the application much simpler and efficient, right? Being able to deliver value to the ultimate customer, who in this case is the guy walking around the warehouse with the scanner in his hand, right?
Right.
That's the customer that we're targeting. That's the guy's life that we need to improve. And that's the process that we need to optimize, and being able to give those tools, to our customers' IT team or OT team or whatever to be able to make those changes that's what we're all about. And it's not that you can't do that with the incumbent vendors, but to your point, it's nothing a citizen developer is going to be able to do.
Exactly.
It's going to require a team of dedicated software engineers, or the software vendor, and now you're locking yourself into custom built software, right?
Yeah.
So difficult to upgrade, update.
Right.
What happens when I add new brands to my warehouse?
Right.
I got to go write more code, right,
Exactly.
to deal with these new use cases. And so now you're down for months. Your ability to launch products quickly and efficiently,
Yeah.
especially in today's world of e-commerce, right?
Oh.
Everything has to happen at light speed.
Absolutely.
And you can only make things happen at light speed if the tools you have available to you allow you to operate at light speed. And that's really what we try to do at Fuuz. That's what we hone in on. So some of the benefits here, improved accuracy, efficiency, cost savings, better space utilization, customer sat, scalability, real-time visibility. All right, so now we're going to start talking for real. So, Steve, there's a ton of benefits that a company can gain from putting in a real robust warehouse management system, right? We talk oftentimes about the benefits of MES, right, around OEE and tracking scrap and labor and all this. Putting it into context now for a company that it doesn't need the manufacturing footprint that we offer, but they're looking to manage their warehouse. What are some of the key benefits that they could expect to get out of an implementation of Fuuz?
I think on-time deliveries is number one. They always want to make sure they've got the right product for the right person that's going to be receiving it or who's ordered it, and getting it to them in a timely manner, and us communicating with shippers, us communicating with LTL carriers and the like, sharing that information, and being open with most systems and able to talk to them is a huge thing for Fuuz. I also think having inventory accuracy, especially with a lot of product is made in a forecasting scenario, not necessarily customer demand being sales orders, but actually having product in stock at the right time throughout the year and understanding what those seasonalities look like and how they may need to build the stock, and really error-proofing what they have in stock and what's available to actually ship to a customer, I think are some of the keys that I see on a regular basis. Also, we do get companies that are dealing with distributors that are looking for vendor managed inventory. So ultimately the distributor owns it, but the company's actually managing it for them and tracking it. Can't be on the same books as the company, so to speak, but they got to keep record of what's there and make sure it's up to date, and talking to that company.
3PL.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. Those are some of the big ones I see. Overall, it's just having the logic behind everything and the rules built into it to maximize those efficiencies, I think, are the number one keys.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, the workflows around warehouse management, whether you're directed put away or directed picking, packing, right, all of the activities, and then you mentioned things like our open connectedness, our integration hub that enables us to integrate with all the common carriers, FedEx, UPS, CHR, any third party carrier, right? We're a completely open architecture. So the ability to integrate, whether it's over API or EDI or whatever it needs to be. The ERP integrations, of course, we do all of those natively, Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, to name a few. All your tier 2 and tier 3 ERP systems as well. Allows the company to operate the warehouse most efficiently and effectively, right? And for those customers that we talk to, a lot of them are vertically integrated, so they have their own distribution centers, but they also do their own manufacturing. So I guess that's kind of how we got introduced into this space to begin with, because we're already supporting the manufacturing arm. And they look at Fuuz, they look at the platform, our capabilities, and like I said, we never set out to build a warehouse management system or platform. It was never part of our framework, but it's just sort of evolved over time. And fortunately, we designed the platform, flexible enough to be able to support really whatever it is that they need to do, and manage it themselves, like you said, which is key.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, the real time visibility, I think is another big thing that's oftentimes lacking in some of the
It's usually batch or end of the day.
Exactly. Right. It's like, EDI transactions that are going back and forth between your WMS and your ERP not happening in real time. Just the visibility for customer service and the customer sat aspect and all of that is just not there at all. So we really bring a lot of that to the table with our event-driven architecture, the real-time nature, plus being cloud-based. Right. I mean, we're the only one in that space that's offering a true SaaS solution
with unlimited users.
So
now I can have unlimited devices.
Right. Portals, supplier portals, customer portals, whatever you need. We've been doing a lot of those lately for our customers. Right. So, you may be a 3PL where you've got customers providing material that don't have EDI capability or integration. So you could give them a portal to log into and, provide kind of a manual ASN process. So the ability to extend and address a lot of these gaps for these customers, I think is really something that sets us apart from the rest.
That and one of the things that, again, we kind of, I don't want to say stumbled into it, but it became from our other product line is the use of KPIs and just understanding warehouse KPIs, and even having like large TVs in a customer service or customer sales office where showing you all the shipments going out and sales orders being fulfilled, and having all that update with all the metrics for the warehouse folks. I mean, those aren't things you see on a typical day at most places.
No, typically not. And kind of like you said, leveraging what was already there.
Right.
And there's a lot of parallels between MES and WMS from that perspective. We think in, MES, we think more about the work center or the asset as being our resource and our constraint. And in the warehouse, it's just a person potentially, right?
Yeah.
So kind of flipping that paradigm and getting the same type or very similar type of metrics, wherein, MES, we're looking at, schedule, attainment. Right. I had all these work orders that I needed to get produced by a certain date. Did that happen or did that not happen? On WMS, I've got all these sales orders that have to be fulfilled by a certain date. Did it or did it not happen?
Right.
And tracking those metrics and the amount of time spent, the amount of labor spent on all of the activities associated with that, which help us drive the optimization and repositioning of products through the warehouse and all of that. So there are a lot of parallels. We didn't probably pick up on that initially, but it's never been really our focus to go out and sell purely to DCs. We got dragged into this by our customer base, which is totally fine. We've adapted. I think that speaks to the strengths of the technology and the tool set that was able to adapt. And this was no source code changes in Fuuz at all.
Exactly.
It's just the way we implement the software.
Right.
So it gives us that flexibility, gives our partners that flexibility to really be able to extend whether the enterprise is vertical or horizontal. For us, it doesn't really matter. So I think these are, it's pretty interesting points anyways. Are there, any other key benefits that you think are important to mention, for anybody that might be looking for a warehouse management system?
I think, if you look at by customer, there's some unique requirements that happen within the industries they're at. So, we see things like with our automotive folks, the ASNs are key, getting those out to the customer prior to the part being received and shipped out of the facility. So, being able, again, to tie back into EDI systems, I think it's all back into the integration, because it's now that we've performed the task, what do we do with that data? Are we pushing it to an ERP? Are we pushing it to the customer?
Yeah.
That's something I see as more than just the warehouse management system. I see it more as the whole, it's the strength of the platform, obviously, but it's a benefit people don't realize. I think they take for granted at times.
Yeah, that's true. One thing that's come up, I didn't really think about it till now, is just, our enterprise architecture, really, right? Like allows a company, whether they're a manufacturer or distributor, to extend our solution out to the whole supply chain, right? So if you are vertically integrated, you have multiple brands under your umbrella, they can all be using Fuuz at the manufacturing site. All of that traceability and visibility upstream is now available to the distribution center, 3PL. So you can plan your logistics.
Yeah.
You can plan and optimize all of your labor, and everything else that you need based on what you see coming your way, right?
Absolutely.
That's not something you're going to get out of any WMS system that's out there. And you could probably cobble something together through a bunch of integrations and, some pretty complex setups here, but you can actually do that right out of the box with Fuuz. With our enterprise, right? We have multiple tenants within enterprise, so everything is protected and isolated for that one business. They can set up all their different organizations under that same umbrella and have real-time visibility across the entire supply chain.
Absolutely. And they're bringing on new brands or new facilities, and they're not on the same ERP systems. Our approach allows them to drop in that logic that they use, the standard blueprint, if you will, for the corporate standard, and can be applied to that warehouse without having to rip and replace an ERP system.
Yeah. I mean, that's key because that's a huge cost.
Huge.
And takes a ton of time.
Exactly.
Where you could roll this out, from one DC to another in, weeks. Right? And you can do it yourself. You don't need a team of, highly skilled, trained, consultants or developers to help you with that project. So, and all the open source connectors that we have for all the plant floor equipment, right? No matter what you have, if it's OPC-UA or MQTT or, Modbus, whatever type of equipment you've got on the shop floor that you want to integrate your WMS with to help you automate these solutions.
Standard.
Now you don't need another bolt-on application.
Right.
You do it all within one platform, so everything's going to work.
Yeah.
Right. You're not worried about compatibility issues between, I've got this warehouse execution system. Is it going to, work with my warehouse management and all those types of challenges that we've heard from our customers, coming to us. So, I think that's great stuff. A whole different market for us.
Completely.
To go into and explore, but certainly, we're seeing where Fuuz and our customers are seeing where Fuuz is delivering on those value propositions. Right, across the board. So,
it's definitely exciting. Definitely a lot more opportunity, and thankful our customers took us on that journey.
Yeah. So, it's been a great conversation. We've both learned a lot through this journey of working with various companies on their warehouse management needs, and so we thank you guys for paying attention to this podcast. Hopefully you'll tune in for the next one.